This conference will now be recorded.
All right, welcome to our meeting on October 25th, 2022. I am Kim and I was designated to be the moderator tonight. So, welcome. Let's see. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, relapsing remitting, diagnosed in 2012, Ocrevus. And I will then go on to Karen. Karen, go ahead and introduce
Wait, I
yourself
have
and let me know if you
I'm trying to get
need
rid
time.
of this. I'm Karen. I have progressive MS. I've had symptoms for 22 years. I've had no treatment, and it was only diagnosed in 2019.
Okay.
And I don't get any treatment. Yeah, actually I do, but I wish I would have brought it up beforehand. Got to do with like unmentionables.
Did you need time tonight?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Louis, go ahead, introduce yourself, please.
I'm sure Louis driving right now.
Yeah.
Let me shut that. Where's the mic?
Okay. So I'm Louis Preciado. I'm have relapse remitting on Ocrevus and was diagnosed last November. Yeah.
Did you need time tonight?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Jen, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Digman, diagnosed in 1997, secondary progressive MS, taking Rituxan, and yeah, that's it. No time tonight. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome, Jen. Frank, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Frank Austin. I'm was diagnosed in 1997, about the same time Jennifer was diagnosed, uh, but it's been around a lot longer than that. Secondary progressive. I'm not on any medications, and I do not need any time tonight. Just living out here in the middle of nowhere, loving it. And I'm in the
Excellent.
middle of everything, not in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Kim already introduced me, so my name's John. I have relapse remitting. I was diagnosed in 2016. I'm on Zeposia. And Kim, I need a little bit of time. Not much time, just a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Victoria from San Jose, California. Was diagnosed in 97 with relapsing remitting MS. Not taking anything, doing well. The last MRI I had last month showed no changes the last 3 years. I haven't had one since before COVID, so I'm doing well. And except for today, a little scare. We had a 5.1 earthquake, and it was a little scary. I was in the 89 one working in a grocery store. So yeah, I felt like I was on a boat this afternoon. But other than that, I'm fine, and I don't think I need any time tonight. Thank you.
Where was it? Where was it centered? Since I'm close to
Right
you.
over in the Mount Hamilton, by Evergreen area, Mount Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't look at the news. I'm completely unaware, so I don't pay
Yeah.
attention.
So
So if you see us,
you didn't feel it in Oakland?
no, but I'm just kind of messed up today, so I'd have to be hit over the head.
Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Mike. I'm in Denver, Colorado. Relapsing, remitting. I'm on Tecfidera, diagnosed in 2010. And I think that's everything. I'm going to shut my camera off for the meeting tonight because I'm kind of multitasking, which I really shouldn't, but I wanted to be at the meeting and listen, and I don't have anything.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Andrea, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Andrea. I have relapsing MS. I was diagnosed in 2011. I live on the North Carolina Outer Banks. I don't need time for myself, but if I can ask for a few minutes for John to tell us how his appointment went.
Okay, thank you. And last but not least, Tim. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tim. I am the spokesman for Abagio, the best drug out there. No, I have CIS, clinically isolated syndrome, diagnosed in 2020. Yeah, a couple years ago. Been one of those days. I am taking Abagio. I am now taking um, gabapentin. Yay! And Amantadine. So
Amantadine.
yeah, well that too. Imodium AD. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, what you said. I just got prescribed the gabapentin and the Amantadine, and yeah, I'll take some time later on.
Amantadine for fatigue. Is that what you're using it for?
Yeah, Amantadine for fatigue. Yep. I'm so tired I can't even say it right. So
No one can say it. The only reason I can say is because I was on it for a while. That's the only reason. So.
okay, cool
And then,
beans.
did you need time tonight? Because I know, like last time we
Yeah,
ran out of time for you. Okay, so we are going to
no
start with.
worries.
We're going to start with.
Amantadine, but I can
Yeah.
say amantadine because I was.
Mhm. Well, we're going to start with Tim because last time Tim didn't get to talk, and since he's East Coast, we tend to lose him earlier in the evening because it's later over there. So Tim, take it away.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, and I apologize for bolting out early. Sometimes I just get that tired. Hence the I'm not to done. I'm just going to call it a man and be done with it. Anyhow, so I am actually meeting with my pain doctor this week on Friday. Yes, we're going to talk about the gabapentin. Because I do have stenosis in L3 and L4, which is mild, L4 and L5, which is moderate, and L5 and S1, which is severe. So obviously that's part of the pain thing, but I got pain in other parts of my bodies too. So that's why we're trying the gabapentin. See, that one's a bigger one, and I can see it. I can roll off my tongue really good. And then we'll be doing a brain scan, MRI. Should be on Halloween, actually. Halloween is when we're going to be doing that. So I got a bunch of stuff coming up. And then we're going to be talking with my MS specialist's nurse over the phone the week after I get my um, um, brain scan and we'll see how the amantadine is working. I think what it is I just need not to look at it, not even think about it, and just say it. And if it's right, fantastic. If it's not, you all know what I mean. Um, but yeah, so I've got a lot of stuff kind of going on, and I'm a little bit concerned with it because not only that, but I'm reaching the ripe old age of 50 in December of this year. So my doc says, "Hey, go see the gastroenterologist because you get to have a colonoscopy for your birthday, and you get one, and you get one." So I'm like, I've been riding a pretty good train for most of 2022, but now it's like kind of the I don't want to say the end of the line. That sounds crappy, but it's going to be the end of the year, so I've got to use up all my insurance money so that way I can get free stuff. Because as soon as you get catastrophic, you get everything for free. So that's what I'm going for. Yes. Um, so I'm just I'm a little bit concerned about the gabapentin and the uh, amantadine. There we go. There it is. With mixed in with because I take Zoloft, and I know that when I first started taking the amantadine and the gabapentin, I had a bad spell the very next day in the morning. A big wave of sadness hit me. Not that I was going to hurt myself or anything like that, but just this huge wave of sadness hit me. My wife was gone with the kids. The kids were gone. My stepson was gone. I think my nephew was passed out. And so there was like nobody around here, and I'm sitting here doing, work things. And it took about an hour. I got past it, but I'm just like, I don't need that because like tomorrow morning, I have got to drive up to Dulles Airport to do a presentation for work. It's going to be outside. We're going to be talking with all the employees about all the wonderful resilience programs that we have. And so I got to go out there and do that for all day, which is going to be fun with the gabapentin and the amantadine. Yeah, I did it. Yes. The more I say it, the better it's going to be. Luckily, the person I'm going with, she is a registered nurse. So, and she already knows that I have MS. And so she's going to keep an eye out for me, just make sure everything's A-okay. So I'll have somebody around for that. But yeah, a lot of stuff going in. And you know me, and I like to talk about podcasting. I've officially turned my day job into working podcasts for the federal government. So this is, yeah, I get to sit here and work on, my computer and all that. Forget about it. I'll never leave now. So, but yeah, that's what I got going on. I just got a lot of things, and I know it's all foo, 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 foo. And I'm just happy that I have the cognitive stuff to kind of keep it in order. But I noticed that the more stuff I get going on, the worse I sound to myself when I'm speaking. So I just got to keep an eye out for that because, well, podcasting, I talk a lot. I talk with my hands. I'm not even, Italian, but I talk with my hands. But yeah, so that's just kind of the struggles that I'm having at this time. But we will persevere and we will tell funny jokes and funny stories. That's all I got.
Tim, I'm on gabapentin and Zoloft. Have been for 6 years. No negative interaction. And then just kind of just perusing a website, adamantium, the stuff that Wolverine's made of, also has no major things.
I went on to what is it? I had to. It got so bad. I had to. Med is safe. I got that app to remind me of my pills and whatnot. And I read a couple articles and for interaction, and they're like, "Yeah, you're fine. Stop being a wussy, Tim." But I'm concerned about it because for most people it doesn't affect them. Yeah, but I'm that snowflake that it might affect. I'm not. I know I'm not. But thanks for looking out for that, John. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm changing, I want to say sedatives. It's been a long day, everyone. Anxiety, depression medicine. I have one of the swabs out, and they're going to test to see what medicine fits best with my DNA, which I thought was an amazing thing. They'll just, has anyone ever heard of this?
Like on a futuristic TV show, yeah.
Oh, so I was at my primary care, and we did a swab, and it will categorize all the antidepressants and anti-anxiety into 3 groups: red, yellow, and green. And my doctor said if that doesn't tell you what they're grouping them into, don't drive. So things that are terrible, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's. I'm excited to find out what's going to work best.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So
what is it measuring?
So the cheek swab, they analyze your DNA, and they see like what kind of medicines you should not be using, or that can be using.
Well, how does that go with the red, yellow, green?
Oh, like a stoplight. Red,
No, but
no.
I mean, what? Oh, you mean is
That's how
red,
the
yellow, green
report
for this,
comes back. That's
Yeah,
how the
that's
for
report
this
yeah.
comes
med and
back.
that
It
med?
says, like,
It's
this
not like,
drug is red, that drug is green, this drug
oh, okay,
maybe
okay. I
is
thought it was like
yellow.
on a daily thing because you're like, don't drive. You know, it's like today, I'm
Oh,
tired. It's like, I'm not going out. I'm not getting in a car.
yes, I understand. I don't know what I said about driving. I'm sorry.
That would be one of the reds.
Yes,
Yeah, yep. That was an example what you don't do on a red. Yep.
yeah. Like, don't take 2 Xanax and then go for a drive. That's a red. That's a no-no.
On another topic, Tim, now that you're 50, it's sort of like becoming a toddler again because you're going to have to get all your vaccines all over again. So we're not counting just COVID. I mean, you've got to get tetanus
Shingles.
Shingles.
again and pneumonia and shingles and yeah.
Distemper,
Oh no, well,
Rabies,
Parvo.
you know. I've got
rabies,
20-year-olds.
heartworms.
I got to have the
Yeah,
rabies shot. I got to.
yeah.
You know, they bite. They do bite. Now,
They
and
do
I
bite.
actually, the funny thing is on Thursday. So after I get back from this trip, I'm doing the flu vaccine, and then I'm doing the variant COVID vaccine. So yeah, it's yeah. 50 is not fabulous. 50 is.
Well, Mike Pennypool joined us. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Mike? You'll have to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry for being late, everyone. Rick actually sent me an email reminding me that a few minutes ago. And anyway, I'm happy to be here tonight. I have nothing I need to talk about, Kim, and I will enjoy putting myself on mute, listening to smarter, more intelligent people.
Well, we're
Like
glad you made it,
the
Mike. I'm guessing, John, the test that they're doing for you is they're testing how well of a metabolize you are on certain the drugs are metabolized by certain substrates like P450 and all that stuff inside. So I think they're trying to see if you're a poor or an active metabolizer certain things because certain drugs will be ineffective, like tramadol, the actual effective drug your body has to metabolize to make the active drug. So if you're a poor metabolizer, you're not going to make it's not going to be effective. You're not going to get pain relief from tramadol. So I'm guessing that's what they're doing is they're trying to see what kind of metabolizer you are on certain ways because there's different
Sure, sure.
enzymes that's what I'm guessing. It's been a
I,
while. This would be a
I,
great
I,
night for
I think.
Amanda to be on the call. She would be able to tell us more, but that's what I'm guessing.
I thought you said it'd be a great night to have a man on the call.
Amanda,
And like, oh
moderator
yeah,
Amanda.
yeah, Amanda. She knows stuff about a lot of things.
Amanda as opposed to Amantadine.
Yeah.
Amantadine. I always have the hard time pronouncing that one, Tim. Oxcarbazepine, that's always hard for me. I always say it wrong in the chat, Tim was saying.
Yeah, I'm just oxcarbenzapine. That's easy. I just think ox.
I think you're missing
I'm just
an
gonna
M,
have to do that
actually.
with this.
Oh, no, there is no M. That's my problem. Okay, did you have anything else you guys wanted to talk about with Tim and all the tests and MRIs and drugs and good to go? All right, well, since Karen did not get to share last time, go ahead.
Can I just give Tim one, find a way on your MRI when you come out, like go in with normal teeth and then get a pair of vampire teeth in while you're in there, so when you come out, you can scare the techs.
It is Halloween.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because back in 2017, I had my neck fusion on Halloween. So it's just every Halloween, something new, something new. So I'm going to go in as a patient and I'll leave as a doctor.
Uh,
There you go.
I like it. I like it. Okay, Karen, what did you want to talk about?
First, I want to share the happy news, the amazing news, the most fun thing I did. Let's see if you can see it. Recognize anybody?
I recognize Hannah and
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
What about the girl in the middle?
Well, I recognize you in the middle, yes.
You met them in person.
So they must.
Exacto. Isn't
That's
that
Nice.
so
awesome?
cool.
Hannah was I thought she was coming in 2 weeks. And then I had them come over on the ferry. They were in San Francisco and they were exhausted and working really hard. And I said, come over on the ferry. It's really nice. Get out of San Francisco. And I picked them up and I had them because I had them, we went out to eat. And then I sent them back on the ferry. And that was just amazing because I left them stranded at the ferry thing because I couldn't figure out where it was in Alameda. But it was like, oh my gosh, you're in person. You're in person. And we just had the best time. We pretended we were normal. We wound up sitting outside, but there was, I don't know if you could see, Elizabeth's actually on her camera, but we were sitting inside and then we were like, let's go outside. It's there's heaters. So that was just amazing to meet somebody from this group, like live and in person, and you never know how it's going to go. And we just pretended to be normal. And then the waiter came, and then I gave them like 3 choices about where to eat, whatever. And then they chose Burmese food, and but then the waiter comes over and they have this whole like drink menu. Do you want drinks? And it's like we didn't really plan it, and so he got excited because we got excited about the drinks, and all 3 of us, without discussing it, we ordered tea. They had like $15 drinks, and we're like, I'll get the tea. I'll get the jasmine tea. Okay, I'll get the bamboo tea. We're big drinkers. But that was like so fun, and it was a big surprise. I thought she was coming in 2 weeks, and then I think right after that Tuesday night at the group, Hannah's like, I'm gonna be in San Francisco tomorrow. You want to get together? I'm like, you haven't slept. That's crazy. So it wound up being on Friday, but that was a surprise. And then last minute she said, I invited Elizabeth, and then I had to think, which one's Elizabeth? I won't think that anymore. So that's that. And
Hey,
then,
Karen. Karen, what temperature was it out that you guys needed heaters? Was it 75 out and you guys needed heaters? You said you had heaters for
oh yeah,
outside.
because they have, for COVID, they built all these outdoor seating things.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, also because I left them stranded, I had to keep calling. I was a mile from the ferry thing and nobody could tell me where it is. And I'm driving back and forth. And they're like, well, it is getting chilly, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. It's like cool evening. It's always cool in the evening here. You need a jacket. You need something like that.
I just love some California stuff. How they're like, ooh, it's chilly because it's 68.
Oh yeah, yeah. It might have been 68. It might have been something like that. So that was that. That was just that. And then okay, then I'll talk about the bed. Although here's my thing, because I do go to the other art class. This is amazing to me. It's amazing to me that I can do this. Like it's the first time I've ever made a painting with movement. And I can't do it without Hannah. I mean, I just listen to her and I'm just, what? 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 I can do these things with my left hand? That's just makes me crazy. I can't believe it. So, and then to meet her in person, that was even better. So, I actually didn't want to share about a bad thing that's been going on with me. And then just before this meeting, like literally, I was like, oh, it's 5:30. My neighbor came over because I have this leak in beside my toilet tank, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And I have a neighbor who helps me, and he came over and he's like, "Oh, you should just get another one." Okay, this is the easy topic about the bad stuff. So then he said, "You should just get another one." I said, "But it just has a little crack. Can't it be dried and fixed?" And so it might be. But if I was going to replace it, has anybody ever replaced with like a higher toilet or anybody know anything about that? Like disabled toilets?
Yeah, like we had a couple put in last summer,
Uh-huh.
and they're a little bit higher off the ground,
Uh-huh.
and forgive my vulgarity, but the seat is in a way that like a man could sit down on it and urinate. You know, like so it doesn't have the ring; it just has like the U.
That's not vulgar. I was a nurse.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I mean, is it easier for sitting? Because it's like, well, maybe I'll replace it, but I don't even know what to replace it with. Like, how did
It's
you even find out about it?
if you just Google handicap accessible toilets. I don't know what you guys have out on that coast, but like Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, all those guys
Oh, they have
carry
them
those.
too. It's not like
Oh yeah,
fancy, expensive. Okay.
no, no,
They're
no.
just 2 inches taller than a standard toilet, I believe. I think it's 2 inches.
So you don't need to use anything else, because I was looking at those bars to use, and I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do that.
They also have risers that you can put on the top of your stool.
Mhm.
That part I know, there's those things, but I wasn't planning on changing my toilet till my house cleaner came last week and said, "Oh, look, there's water all over the floor." So
So
it
it's
caught like a quart in 5 days, so it's pretty slow, so I don't have to move on it that fast. But well, that was the easy toilet talk. Now the other one was I have that's what I was looking at when sorry I was paying attention, but I have now been obsessively documenting my output, and I call the document the scoop on the rhymes with scoop. And about 2 weeks ago, I went to my doctor, and before I left the house, I couldn't move. I couldn't move it, and I just have never had problems with that. I've had problems of urgency, and it's like, well, I got the urgency, but it's not going anywhere. And then she was doing her body work on me. She's asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember. So I started logging for the last 2 weeks what's going on. And then I read about with MS that it's like, oh, and I guess because I'm a nurse, I get to anticipate all the horrors. And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to need to be disimpacted?
I think it's just really Karen with diet,
It's not,
and
no, yeah,
is
it's not a
it,
diet thing. I
is it
didn't
medication?
No,
Is
I didn't change my diet. It's more like the motility, and I can feel like that it's stuck in there and it's not moving out. It's not, yeah, I mean, so I've been obsessively, and then I forgot to document. So while we were here, I was like, okay, let me document what happened
So,
today.
so Karen, I I have had a number of issues. Sometimes everything is very watery and moves too fast. And then if that's not the case, then it's all blocked up and there's no movement at all. And so I go back and forth, and I'm very sensitive to anything like over the counter or, if it's going to if it's a loosener, it's going to like just no. And so I found some videos on YouTube for how to do an abdominal massage, and it's very safe. And, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But,
I'm going to write it down. What did you say? Because I'll forget.
right, it's just abdominal massage. I'll try to Google it and try to find
But,
one for
but have
you.
you had digestive? Because I mean, Jen, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's not. I haven't changed the way I eat, and I fast usually for 16 hours. And I was like
Mhm.
just pretty regular. I've had that urgency, and I reported that like 4 or 5 years ago, and the urgency
Mhm.
gets whatever, more urgent, and I'm not moving as much, so I'm losing
That
weight
and
because my
that could
muscle.
have something to do with it. Movement will really help. So taking a walk
I
if you're
can't take a
feeling
walk. No. Yeah, I mean, I can't do that stuff. So I haven't had digestive
move,
problems.
well, you
It's
can,
it's
yeah.
it's more just sitting, it's like lack of motility. And so I
Mhm.
decided to document, and what do I do about it? And I thought, I don't even want to talk to my primary. The problem is when you talk to a doctor, they want to fix your problem. And and so you're going to get, oh, you should do a diet, you should do this, you should do that. I didn't change the way I eat. I fast for 16 hours just because it feels good. And usually when, just like, as soon as peristalsis, it just means like the beginning of movement, whatever. So I don't even, I never ate anyway before 1 or 2, but now I often wait because it's just easier. Like if I'm not eating, I'm not going to get the urge, and I don't have to go, and I can go to the pool, and I can go out and do whatever. And so this was just different. Like, so I've had days of, I have to study my little map of what I obsessively wrote about, but it's not digestive. It's sitting there, just not moving because the muscles won't. So I read about that from, I get more information like from UK, like the MS Trust in the UK, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a new thing. I have to do this. I have to do that. If my muscles don't work in my hand, and if they don't work in my leg, I mean, it stands to reason.
I don't know, Karen. I don't subscribe to that. I haven't walked in 25 years, 20 years,
Uh-huh.
and we're all friends here, so
Yeah.
I'm regular. That's kind of what, if I'm interpreting what you're saying
Yeah.
correctly,
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, I don't know if you're drinking as much water or if it's more, I mean, do you feel that it's more like muscle,
Yeah.
like the
It's
fats
muscle.
are more
Yeah.
internals not
It's
working?
muscle, and and I happened to have a doctor appointment early, and I felt the urge, and then I was just anxious, going, I don't want to. If I have the urge, it comes out. It just comes out,
Yeah.
and so that was new, and yeah, that's just disturbing.
Do you think you would feel comfortable talking about it with your neurologist, or
Well,
you just,
I was, I thought the first thing you need is data. You need to report, so I'm just paying attention. This happened, that happened. And I usually take prune or two a day because I like prunes anyway. And I was out for a few days, but that was just more recently. But it just freaked me out. Like, oh my God, what, it's feeling more normal again. And but I thought, well, if I talk to my primary, she wouldn't know. And so I decided I would just, if it feels somewhat better this week, that I'm just going to keep a log and then call the nurse. Like, it's just so great to have a neurology nurse because the neurologist is busy, and at least she, will have more experience. And then I'm just fearful, like, oh, well, you need to see a GI specialist. It's like, I don't think so. Like, I don't want a camera going, just
yeah,
if it's muscular from the MS. So anyway, I'm just bringing that up because I'm preoccupied with that these days.
yeah, yeah,
Bathroom stuff isn't a big deal until it is a big deal,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
especially when
Yeah,
you've been like regular for,
yeah.
like 43 years of your life or something. And then all of a sudden that changes. I'll
Well,
just say 43 because that's how old
yeah.
I am.
Well, I never paid attention to it. I didn't care. I went when I went, but I'm going to say the last, when the urgency started 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm still getting more of these symptoms, it's still pretty regular. I could guarantee, I know I'm talking about this stuff, I can guarantee you that I will never, ever, ever get up in the middle of the night and take a dump. Ever. That would never happen. And it happened, like in part of my thing, and going at night and not going for a day. And then, so yeah. And so I'm always aware of that stuff. And I was wary that, someone say, well, what about your diet? What about, it's like, I didn't change my diet. So
Lead with that with your doctor. Hey, my bowel movements have not been regular anymore, and my diet hasn't changed. Like all the things that everyone suggests to you, I've already checked out.
yeah,
Because
I'm
well,
we know
it's
your body and
convinced.
stuff.
I'm convinced that was my first symptom and has been my biggest issue since before my diagnosis, long years before my diagnosis. When I was in my 20s, I was being sent to GI specialists who were putting tubes and cameras down my throat and up the other end, and always coming back and saying there was nothing wrong. Doctors were telling me it was all in my head.
that's
And
what I'm afraid of. Like,
even in the neurology and MS world, I hear very little about GI issues being a big, everybody talks about fatigue. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows the MS hug, but apparently GI issues are not across the board enough for it to be a generality for MS patients. And so I don't know, but I do know that we're all snowflakes.
well, you talked about it, now that you're mentioning it, but I feel like, as far as I know, that digestive issues are an issue, because I remember now you talked about that. So, and yours was digestive. It wasn't more like just producing what's sitting at the end of the line. But
It's all of the above.
yeah,
It's the entire system, and
yeah.
when I was in my 20s, they called it IBS because they ruled out Cushing's disease, and um, the other one is not coming to my head. I'll scream it out 20 minutes after the meeting, but everything else, they ruled it out to the point where they're like, well, we have nothing left, so it's IBS.
And then they're mad at you because they can't find out what's wrong with you.
But my neurologist has made comments like, we do see a lot of comorbidities in MS, such as meaning IBS, meaning
Yeah.
kind of they do see a lot of IBS in MS patients. My first meeting with my neurologist when I was diagnosed, incontinence. She knew all about incontinence. Everybody gets incontinent, but nobody asked about the other half of that system.
Well, I'm glad, Jennifer, that you told me that you're regular. Like, it's possible to be regular.
Oh, well, and that's, I
We keep
mean,
the world.
and I think, Andrea, I question, we're all of us being in the MS community, we're pretty open and we talk about things, but I wonder, because I live with someone who has MS, and I know he and I talk, but I don't know how comfortable we are talking about that. I mean, it's funny, we can talk about incontinence with no problems, but when it comes to poop, we're like, that's private business. We don't really talk about it. Like, I'm embarrassed that I told you all that I'm regular, but
No,
again,
I'm
y'all
glad.
friends, and it's my community. You're all people. So
How do you think I feel on camera? I'm being recorded.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. But Andrea, I think that there's such a connection between the gut and multiple sclerosis.
Absolutely. And they're also just now starting to get into the gut biome, and they're noticing differences in MS patients versus non-MS patients. So
Mhm.
there's some big connection there, and maybe that will help them find this elusive cure.
And maybe that would be an interesting topic if Rick is listening. That would be an interesting topic for another presentation, just because we're all talking about like the gut digestive issues. That would be an interesting like webinar to have.
Yeah, if
It
you can
would.
find somebody that's really knowledgeable on it.
Hmm. Yeah, and just to know, like with the aging and, Dan turned 50 the end of September, so he's with you in the whole colonoscopy game, and just to talk about how that affects us. That could be really interesting.
And
Something.
Andrea, I'll keep you in mind when I will call the nurse. I just want to have more, a little more data, more like looking at what's wrong, because you can't just go, well, I had this problem 2 weeks ago, and then it was weird 3 days later, and then I went in the middle of the night. So I just want to be able to see the pattern but my fear was, oh, they'll just say go to the GI doctor, and then they're going to do what they did with you, Andrea, and you're like, well, didn't help me. And then, oh, now go to a nutritionist and talk about what you're eating. It's like, well,
Mhm.
why do you suddenly have a change? It was the whole almost like PTSD around the MS thing. Every time, for 20 years, I'm reporting symptoms, and it's all like, well, it's well.
I even tried just some probiotics last month, and I ended up like just bloated beyond belief, and I'm still not recovered from it as far as my habits are concerned.
And that's interesting, Andrea, because I have like recurrent urinary tract infections, and
Mhm.
my urologist, the last time I did Botox, she sent me a flyer about how important it is to be like, if you need to use the probiotics and be regular and everything, and how that affects your urinary tract. And I'm like,
Wow.
goodness. So that whole connection, that's why, I think that really would be an interesting just to hear. Like, you don't realize how much everything's got to work in conjunction. And hello, I have multiple sclerosis, and all that's trying to do is F up everything that works, the neural connection. So,
Well, and when you get urinary tract, because I get a lot of urinary tract infections as well, and when you do, they put you on antibiotics
hmm
in order to get you over it.
yeah.
And that kills everything, not just the infection. It kills part of your microbiome at the same time.
The flora in your in your digestive tract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's I had put it on my calendar and I didn't go see it, but it's probably worth looking at. Because now I do that Monday night MS Foundation art class. They just you see all the events. So there was something on bowel and bladder about 2 weeks ago, and I was meeting a friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, look, we're meeting this. I'm missing this talk about bowel and bladder. It's like either we hang out and have fun or do that." So maybe between all of us, somebody will actually watch that
Yeah.
video.
Don't they record them?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have never gone back to look, but it wasn't on my mind when that happened. I think I would have canceled the date with my friend if it was like gotta watch that video.
But you can always watch the
Right, but I
record.
mean, I just put on my calendar if
Yeah.
I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything that particular Thursday, okay, I'll do it. So, well, I'm glad I opened up the topic, and even you using the P word, Jennifer, was problematic for my ears because I just call it the scoop on the.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you, Karen. Didn't want to didn't want to get your sensibilities. So,
No, it is okay.
I think
yeah.
that there's something that we can all agree on. That potty training is something that we're taught really early,
Uh-huh.
and we have that, like, you've been in control of that for so long, and when you lose that, you feel ashamed because you're like a baby. You know, you're just a little baby.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a thing
true.
I struggle with too, friends.
Yeah.
And
That's why
and
it's so important that we're all here together, because
Yeah,
I feel your pain, John, and I can see it. So,
yeah. It's
yeah.
um, it's been a rough day, so emotions are right on the surface for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
Did you want to share what you wanted to talk about tonight, John?
You say Jim or John?
John.
Oh, yeah. um, I walked 4 steps all by myself, no
Yay.
assist. The first
Me
time in
too.
years.
Yay.
Today, my physical therapist said, we don't need to do progress checks on you anymore because you're doing so much progress that we can't deny your need for physical therapy, you know? And that just feels really nice for my sadist that I see twice a week. Um, she's got some kind of voodoo over me because she'll ask, do you think you do 10 more of those? I'll be like, okay. You know, I'll get up and do that. So the steps were a success. Um,
Yay.
as most of you know, I do work for Bristol Myers Squibb, and I am actually the face of Zeposia. Like, if you're lucky, you'll see me on Instagram. Guess who was going and doing his presentation when he said Jolenia? I thought I was going to be fired right there
Uh,
for just saying the wrong drug or even like mentioning anything else. That was what I was on before. So
yeah, but the MS community gets you, right?
yeah, like, oh shit. Um, and the wheelchair fitting is Friday,
Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
and no, it's okay. And actually, my PTs have all told me, like, dude, they're gonna wheel you in. They're gonna see what you can do this way and that way. They'll measure this, and don't worry about anything. Like, Melissa
Good.
can't even go in with me just because of like space and protocols. But yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it now.
But so that's good. They were able to at least give you an idea of what to expect when you go in. That
Yeah,
helps to reduce the anxiety. That's good.
yeah. And Kim, thank you for giving my number to your friend. I
Did she
didn't have
reach
a
out to you?
she did. I just didn't have a
Awesome.
chance to reach back
Oh, okay.
before like I learned all about it. So yeah, I'm. This is the thing that's going to happen, and it's not because I'm going to be in a wheelchair. It's because if we don't, they'll charge my insurance for the 65-pound wheelchair that doesn't really fit through my doorways. Um, we have a lot of damage in our house just because the wheelchair's too wide. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a heavyset wide dude. Do not get me wrong, but this wheelchair is just cumbersome.
is it like being rented from the insurance and then you're gonna be
It's
able to
being,
buy one? Oh,
yeah. So there's Jen. What's the name of the place in Michigan? CareLink. CareLink is a company that I'm renting it from, and that's where I get all my medical supplies, like for my apnea mask and all that stuff. So I will give the form, the diagnosis to them, and say, "Get me something light and is going to be awesome for 5 years as it
Mhm.
gathers dust in the garage." Um, this whole physical therapy thing is spreading. Like, I finally saw that point that turned, and now I know that I'm doing it to get way better. I like the idea that the PTs were just kind of saying, um, "Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate that." But it really was. It was a really good appointment today. I overdid it. I didn't sleep well last night, but again, my sadist, always asks of me, and she's an amazing, amazing woman, so I can't say no. So I did a lot of extra stuff. So that was really cool. And another thing was that Melissa and I carved pumpkins outside on Saturday. I didn't want to go back inside, Like it was just sunny and like 76 with that breeze, And it's the first time I've carved a pumpkin in forever. I did it freehand. Melissa used a stencil, but I got really good and artistic out in the sun.
I did mine too early. I just had to throw it away because it was rotten.
I found out that if you put Vaseline where it's all cut, oh, Kim's nodding, that will help slow down that process.
Yeah.
And I trust my pumpkins with, if someone from Iowa gives me advice about gourds, I believe
That's
it.
true, but it's also a bit warm here. Plus, I
Oh,
and I had it inside, and I keep it in the 70s inside. They need to stay in like 50, 60-degree weather,
yeah.
and they'll be good.
I live, I can't say out in the country because I have neighbors right next to me, but we already have deer like coming up and checking out the pumpkins. Get away. This is not the time of year for you to be here.
No.
Do they eat the pumpkins? They will, won't they? They'll eat almost everything, won't they?
Yeah, they just got a little nibble.
Not quite as bad as a goat, but pretty close. Yeah.
Hungry little animals.
I love animals. Did you guys know that I had a pet tortoise? I know Dan and I'm sorry, Jennifer knows. But yeah, I have a tortoise named Banana.
Yeah.
She is 4 years old. I got her 4 years ago in a week. She's like this big, and she'll get like this big, and will definitely outlive me. People are like, don't you know how long they live? Yeah, I absolutely know. And Kim, you've changed.
Speaking of pets,
Yeah, that's
Too much
great.
information.
And I don't know if anyone read the article, but there was a new publication in January of this year that pretty much links Epstein Barr as a major cause of MS. They did a 20-year study with U.S. troops because they get so much blood work and things like that. And I don't know if I've ever had it, you know, but if they're learning what might cause it, who knows how much closer we got with that.
They found that like pretty much all people with MS have tested positive for JVC, and only 95% of the general population, which is still a huge percentage, but it was enough for them to say there's some sort of causality
Yeah,
in there. They just don't know what that causality is, but somehow the virus is possibly changing a gene or two or
yeah.
something. It's
It's
they're getting closer. They're hopefully circling the drain at this point.
that'd be
Wait, is that
nice.
the right way to word it? Anyway.
That's a perfect way to work it, to flush this shit down the drain.
Yeah.
I'd have a party for it. Like, oh hey John, we extracted your
Oh,
MS.
so right. So I heard, John, that along those same lines that they are trying to come up now with a vaccine for the JC virus, and which means that if there's a direct cause between that virus and MS, that the vaccine would essentially put an end to MS.
Yeah, I don't want anyone else to catch this.
So
I always say catch this. I don't know
right.
why.
So
Well, maybe we do.
I was even watching a video that a doctor was talking about, like a reverse vaccine or something, trying to fix whatever was changed by the virus.
So basically, we
That
want
would
to
help
change it.
us, not that would help us, as opposed to,
Yeah,
the vaccine for the virus would help future people, but wouldn't help us.
yeah. Give me something to remyelinate, please.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Remyelinization. Like it's just a pill a day you take, and then it just does it.
Just
Yeah.
regrows.
Yeah.
That's really all that I have to say about that. So it's been a nice couple of weeks. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen, it's great because you're like one of my only friends that knows that when I post on Facebook, oh my gosh, I'm working in Cleveland tonight, that I'm not actually flying to Cleveland. I get so many safe trip messages,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no, I'm in my office. I'm just broadcasting
Yeah.
to Cleveland.
It's nice. Just, the possibilities with technology.
Yeah,
Dan and I had a conversation with Louis the other night, and it's like,
nice.
just technology. And
Yeah,
Tim in Virginia, and you probably already know this, Tim, but when you're not on screen, it says TV. I'm like, TV. There's Tim. That just cracked me up.
Good
Made
old
me
tuberculosis.
TV.
turn on the TV.
it will
Nice.
give you
Made me,
tuberculosis.
I'm just too simple. Made me smile.
At
And
least you knew
Dan,
what it. At least you knew what it was, Jen. I can't believe I was on a Zoom thing, like a music weekend this weekend, and so sometimes I'd be like in a private chat with someone, and then they would write TY, and I was like, what does that mean? It
Oh,
took me like for like the third time to go, oh, okay, thank you.
yeah,
Karen, just so you know, if anyone says LOL, they're not saying lots of love. They're laughing out loud.
I think
I
they're
know.
saying lots of luck too. That's what I used to think it meant, lots of luck, but then I got, but the TY and it was small TY, and I was
Hmm.
like, it
Thank you.
was a typo. Did it stand for typo?
Too. Yeah. It's a melancholy sort of day. I think we're all just like chill. Just,
I'm dragging butt.
yeah. Well.
Is there anything else that anyone wanted to discuss tonight?
Oh, I had COVID again.
Yeah.
And then we gave it to Dan for his 50th birthday. So thank you. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But we're over it. So yeah.
I'm not hanging out with you guys on my birthday. I just know it ain't gonna happen.
No, it was just I had planned a surprise birthday party for him. I already had his birthday, so I can. But his surprise birthday, I had to cancel it because we had COVID. But now
Oh
3 weeks later,
no.
yeah. But just yeah, so that's what's really good about being vaccinated is we're all okay 3 weeks later.
How How many times have you had COVID now?
Twice. Yeah. Yeah. What's in case you missed it? I don't, yeah.
I have a question for oh no, I lost everybody.
We're still
Me?
here.
We're here.
I know, but I can't I was trying to save what Andrea sent about the abdominal massage, and then I had to go and throw it in a document, and then I'm like, where did everybody go? But
Oh, I
Kim, I remember you said that you rented, and I didn't remember the name of the building for October. So did you have a party?
yeah. So on the 16th, on my 10th year MS diagnosis, I threw a party. So yeah, we rented a shelter. We had a hike at the beginning of the day at 9 a.m. and then the party started at 1, and it was a really fun time. It was really nice. And then I shared my story at 3 o'clock. So I had typed something, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting some feedback somewhere. So, um, yeah, it was a really fun time. It was really great, and I got to shared my story, and you know, it was really felt like I needed to do that, and I was really tired on the party because I was like awake by like 2 a.m. So when you try to share something emotional and you're really tired, it's a lot harder to do. So my cousin was going to read whatever parts I wasn't going to be able to read. Like I knew I wasn't able to read the part where I left my job. That's still too little tender for me. But when I was reading, I was getting real emotional. So my husband got up and he actually stood behind me and held my shoulders. And some reason when he did that, I was able to read the rest of it no problem, which really surprised me. But it showed, I don't know how you would, I don't know, it showed like how much support and that was just able to push me through to do
That's
it.
really
And
cool, Kim.
it was really cool. And I didn't know it because I was like, I read it and I'm like, wow, I did a lot better than I thought I did. And then one of my friends watching it, she's like, as soon as your husband came up and stood behind you and held your shoulders, you were just good to go. I was like, oh, that is right, isn't it? I didn't put the two together until she put it to. So, but there's a lot that I have to process from that day. It was just I felt like it was really important for me to do that. And some of the people there, like I know them, but to be pretty vulnerable, like my brother's in-laws were there, was fine, but no one ran away out the door screaming like, ah, no one freaked out. So that was good. No one's like, oh, that was too much, Kim, bye. But yeah, it was a really great day. My cousin from New York came, and then my bestie from Illinois came and helped me out. So it was super awesome. I'm really glad I did it. I'm really glad I did it. But yeah, we were out there. We were out of the shelter by like 6:30, which was awesome because it was still light outside, and we could unload everything. And yeah.
How many people, Miss Kim?
I think it was under 30, and it was really cool because the people would slowly trickle in, so I felt like I could talk to everybody versus like you have 10 people arrive and you're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
sorry I didn't make it over to you." So that was
yeah.
really nice, and it was just I don't know, it was a perfect group of people. The venue was gorgeous, and then the temperature was nice. It was sun was shining. The leaves were beautiful color. Like 2 days later, it got really cold. Like a lot of leaves flew off. So it was just a beautiful. It was a beautiful time. It was really fun.
That sounds awesome.
I highly recommend throwing a 10-year anniversary MS diagnosis party. I highly recommend it. And
Oh yeah.
even though you're like, oh, I don't want to write my story, I don't want to share it, 'cause that's like really vulnerable and it's gonna be really emotionally tough for me to do. I felt really like I needed to do that to go into the next, like I had to get that achievement level and then move on. And now I was discussing this with my book club on Monday. Like I felt like by doing that and sharing it, like it no longer has as much power over me. Like the sensitivity about losing my job and things like that. Like it feels like I can talk about it without getting like where it's too tough. Or because with me with MS, when I get real when I have really strong emotions, I can't hold them back. They just come out, and it was a good thing to do and go, oh, you can get through it. You can talk about it. And having your husband there, very helpful to hold on to you. And then my
You didn't know
cousin
that?
was sitting next to me. Well, it was really obvious when I gave my speech. It was really obvious. He was a massive, massive help. Yeah, it was a good time. And I thought I like
So,
spoke too fast and I mumbled because I was super tired. But I had a speaker, one of my friends let me borrow a speaker, so they said they all could understand me. So my friend
so
recorded it. So go ahead.
do we get to hear that speech? Are you going to
Yeah,
give
I'm
it to
wondering.
us at some point?
If you want to, I don't know. I don't know. It talks about my when I first experienced MS in Alaska, and then this thing, and then yeah, it was
Well,
interesting. And I
I
think,
think you have to, maybe the next meeting you'll have to put it out to the group, and if the group
well,
says yes, we'd like to hear it, we maybe we
maybe,
get it again. There's a couple of
yeah.
thumbs up I'm seeing here that people might like to hear the speech.
Hey,
Oh,
Kim,
yes.
I tell my story once or twice a week for the drug company, and you gain so much power over it just saying it. Like, I almost get to points like where, oh shit, should I be crying right now? I usually cry right now, but I'm just plowing through.
I think I had a hard time with the ending. And my cousin, she's a writer and all that stuff, so she kind of like was my editor, and we were talking, and I'm like, okay, I think I got. Then I had the urge, like, okay, I can type the ending, and the ending was tough, but it was great because what I had learned in the 10-year journey, that what I thought was my greatest weaknesses actually became my greatest strengths, which was very eye-opening for me. And then like I kind of circle back, because my dreams of what I wanted to do in high school and circled back. So it was good. It was good. And I think I needed to force yourself to write that. You get some realizations when you actually put pen to paper and have to present it to some other people. So,
Hey, Kim,
hmm
what do you think about the idea of all of us writing out our story and collectively putting them all together in a little booklet, pamphlet?
I think that would be interesting. Mine ended up being about 3.5 pages. And obviously it's not like the whole story because we're spanning
Yeah.
like 20 years here, but
Yeah.
the highlights of certain things.
I think
I
it'd be
think that
interesting.
would be interesting. But yeah, yeah, it was to put yourself in front of people, like, and let yourself be vulnerable. And this isn't like some people. There were a couple people there from the MS community, but a lot of people, friends for 20 years, or people that knew me, but didn't really know all. Like my husband didn't know the beginning part of Alaska. He didn't know that the aspect of me describing what I was going
Well,
through when I first had my symptoms. So
Kim, I am not a psychologist, but I've often heard, that uh, people suggesting write it down, journal it, that type of thing, and how cathartic it is, not just to have the story, but to write it down, and to John's point, then to share it.
but I think it help get so I'm not really big about speaking in front of groups of people, like small groups, but like larger groups is a little tougher for me. And it's harder for me to talk to people I know than people I don't know. It's easier for me to talk to people like strangers. And so I think also it was really good for me because like it really showed the support that people have for me versus like, oh, who's gonna deal with this? So it was really important for me to like say it like no one got scared, and they're very supportive and like, oh yeah. And I don't know, I just can't say good enough things about it besides sitting down and writing it and then actually talking about it and allowing yourself to be super vulnerable in front of people. But in the end, it was a huge asset. I would highly recommend doing it.
I almost bet that those people will be even more supportive now because they know more about and details.
And I think that's true because when we talk about MS, we complain about like it's an invisible disease and people don't understand. And I'm like, well, did you actually sit them down to explain what it's like? Because if you
Yeah.
don't tell them what it's like, they can't understand. Like, because they can't, like I said, anybody, I can't read your mind, and I don't expect you to read my mind because that's just my ESP is terrible.
That's a
But
great line. But that
yeah,
that is, I would definitely want to hear it, and it's because when I came to this group a year and a half ago, I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to talk about what's going on with me, and everybody's just, oh, you're fine, you're okay. Oh, everybody has problems with their memory. Like, no, this is different. And well, you're okay. Well, I'm still dealing with that all the time, and I have written a lot about, but for me, it's more I was writing about just my journey with the doctors or what's kind of going on. Yeah, and I did something, and that was a year in May, so it was like a year and a half ago. I had a birthday party. It happened to be the weekend. I wasn't planning a party. I thought people would just drift in, but it happened to be the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, when people started to gather, and I just had like a little open house, and it turned out like 10 people were here for my birthday, and they all, like, most of us were musicians and singers, and we're like, wow, we're in a party. Like, I don't think it would happen again because it was before people got busy doing other things. It was like, here we are. So I did read a piece that I wrote about my disease, and I had done it online in a music community, and that's videotaped. I was like, I didn't expect to cry. Sometimes you have to do it a few times. I didn't expect to cry. And then again at my house, I did the same piece, and again I'm like crying. It's like, oh God, I didn't want to be crying, but it's okay for us to
but
cry.
that's what I had to get over, Karen, a long time ago, was the fact that when I have those extreme emotions, I can't hold them back. So I kept breaking down in front of people all the time and crying. And I was never a crier before, so it was like really like embarrassing. And then one day I realized, okay, so if you had to have extreme emotions or no emotions and be a robot, which would you choose? I would choose the extreme emotions any day. And then I've learned that when I show my vulnerability and my extreme emotions, it actually is a huge way to connect with people super fast. And that just like the connection with people and that's their guard down really fast. So by being that raw, messy actually is very effective to connect with others and get them, where we connect really fast. So that's something that took me a while to appreciate and like get over the embarrassment fact and go, this is actually very healthy, very helpful for to making connections and people understanding and things like that. But
So,
that was
Early.
overnight.
Kim, I have a question. Did you tell everybody at the end that you discovered that you're a terrific moderator and webinar host?
I did mention that this is one of the things I do now. I did say I was kind of good at the Q&A stuff on the webinars and stuff, but yeah, a little bit because it was talking
Good.
about, I don't know, I'll share it someday. It'll be it's interesting story, I guess. But it was tough to write it, and I had to be in the mood to do it. I wasn't just gonna like pull teeth
Yeah.
so I had to write it here and there, and then my cousin was an amazing editor, and she got me like to be able to get my thoughts and then get me into that position like, oh, okay, I think I'm gonna write, and so she was very encouraging and and I'm like, okay, you have to read this paragraph because this one's too hard for me. She was all ready for that and game for that.
Kim,
Keep
Bravo,
on.
Kim,
we're
that you
all
talked
proud of
about it a
you.
while ago.
Oh,
Yes, we
thank you.
are. Good job.
Good job.
So people are starting to drop off. Our next meeting is November 8th, which also is election day. So good luck if If you're not absentee voting, but you're voting at the polls, good luck. Hope you can make it here by 8:30 your time.
I voted yesterday.
Ah, nice.
I
Yeah.
voted, yeah, Thursday last week. First day it
That's
opened.
awesome.
So I just have to share something real quick with you guys. At PT today, my therapist said something along the lines of, "I wouldn't even know how to walk a mile in your shoes." And my response was, "Neither do I." Like I don't think I can walk. Oh no, I don't think. I know I could not. But it's just kind of funny. Like, oh man, you nailed it,
Well, I
Liz.
made a similar blunder with Karen just today. That happens to the best of us.
What did you say?
I think I told you to walk.
Oh,
Mm.
that's true. I do get snappy when people say things like that. That would
I
be great.
can understand why. It's
Yeah.
perfectly understandable.
Yeah, like, hey, walk over here. Make me. Please make it happen.
What's interesting, John, is you will come to a point where you will forget that it's something. I commonly say, well, I'm going to walk over there and get that. I haven't walked in 20 years. And it's just like semantics. I will
Yeah.
get over there, and if I want to say I walked,
Yep.
my wheels are getting me there. So
Yeah. Like
It's
I'm gonna
not
run
walking.
to the mailbox.
yeah,
Like that one I always get. I always say that. I'm going to run downtown. And
yep.
my girlfriend always goes, "You're not running anywhere."
Mm.
My
Yeah, I,
brother-in-law,
Grammar police.
his comment to me is, "There's one man in this family I can outrun." He weighs like 350 pounds. And his comment is, "There's one man in this family I can still outrun." And he looks straight at me.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to say another word.
in
Mm.
one of my undergrad classes, I had a blind gentleman in there. One day he couldn't figure out where his seat was because we had assigned seats. And so I went up to him like, "Can I help you find your like are you looking for your seat?" And I'm like, what kind of idiot asks a blind guy if he's looking for a seat? But then I found out later in the blind community they do use the word looking. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't like such a bad faux pas that I thought it was. But I think that's the great thing about like the community in general. Like we all are imperfect people. We mess up all the time, and just having the grace and the compassion, like, I got you. I know what you mean. Like, no big deal. Like, not holding the grudge and getting like super offended about it. Just like, yeah, it happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
Sometimes their cringe just fuels me. Like if you're gonna say that, I'm gonna have a little fun with you. Well then why don't you fly over there?
Well, I know from the disability community because let's see, I was diagnosed in 2019 and there was a mobility fair like in March or April or something. And so somebody told me about it and I was like, I don't want to go to a mobility fair. I don't need, but I knew they were going to have wheelchairs and I was like, well, I don't really want to go. And I thought because there's always these companies that there'd be coffee and snacks and there wasn't. And so I was grumpy the whole time I was there. And then I met this guy who was a quadriplegic and he was the executive director of the World Institute on Disability. And I knew the founder of that was Judy Heumann. So I was talking to him and then he said, so did you go, go look at the wheelchairs? And I was like, no, like I'm not ready for that. And then another guy came over in a wheelchair and we were just shooting the breeze. And then that guy said, come on, I'll walk you over there. He's a quad. So yeah.
so. Karen, you know Judy Human?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I used, yeah, she was on the board of a place I used to work at. And
Wow.
she'd be gone. So I'd see her, sometimes just like out and she goes, oh yeah, I'm going dancing tonight.
I loved her book, and then her in the movie Crip Camp. Was it called Crip Camp? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's the
she's in there. You
best.
read her book. Her book is great. She talks
The
about
the only
lack of
thing,
accessibility and
yeah, the only thing that I don't like about the movie is I can only watch it for the first time once. Like now that
Right.
I've
one
seen it,
scene at the Capitol is pretty hard to watch. Yeah.
yeah. But I just mean like, well, I know all the twists and turns. Will I laugh as hard next time? You know, the lady with her bus driver. Great part of the movie. You know, and
I
I
don't
want
think
to
I've
go to.
seen it. I think I've only seen clips of it.
I
Oh,
I
want to.
Karen,
think
you
the
have to.
last time I checked it, I think it was on YouTube, the full amount. I'm gonna go look for it.
I
I
should
know
take a
that
look.
Netflix will always have it for free. Like that will, or that's their project with the Obamas.
But you know, it was also when it was like, no, I don't want to go look at wheelchairs, but I came with that purpose, and you know, he had me sit, and he goes, go sit in one, and you know, and do that.
Oh,
I
it's like a
got a
chair.
wheelchair behind me now. It's like, who would have thought you'd go look forward to something like that?
All right, I gotta go to bed, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
See you.
Yeah.
Good
Good
night,
seeing
See
you
ya.
everybody
guys.
tonight.
See ya
Okay, go
in
ahead.
Signing
November.
off too. Good night, everybody.